Hi, my name is Josh. Welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. Uh, for those very few that have already subscribed to my channel, welcome back and thank you very much for subscribing. Um, Today I want to kind of take my channel in a bit of a different direction. Um, and I'm going to talk about having an edge. And I'm talking to men specifically, and that men need to have an edge, and what that means, and why you need to have an edge as a man. Uh, this kind of was prompted just because I've met some men that have edges, that have what I would call an edge. They have something about them that you need to respect, right? Something about them that you should fear, but it's a healthy fear. It's almost like a reverence, or just a healthy respect for particular men in my life that I have met, that you just can't mess with. It's not that they purposely or intentionally are trying to invoke fear or invoke any type of intimidation or bullying tactics. It's more of just that man has self-respect and therefore I respect him. That man has boundaries and therefore I'm going to respect those boundaries. And those are honestly men I'd rather be around, as opposed to the nice guy, the passive guy, the guy who's just going to kind of go with the flow and has really no principles, no values that really he's passionate about, so much so that he would put his life on the line or that he would put his career on the line for. You know what I mean? So, have an edge is what we're talking about today. What does it mean to have an edge? What is an edge? Well, I looked up edge in the dictionary, and I'm kind of basing these principles of having an edge. There are three of them off of the dictionary definition. An edge is the outside limit of an object, area, or surface, a place or part farthest away from the center of something. An edge can also mean the sharpened side of the blade of a cutting implement or weapon. I specifically think sword. And then lastly, a quality or factor that gives superiority over close rivals or competitors. So you've probably heard, I'm training so that I have an edge over this particular person or team, right? So let's take these three definitions, as I said, and we will discover how they relate with being a man, and specifically what it means for a man to have an edge to him. So the first definition is an edge is something that's away from the center, right? So I say have an edge that's away from your center. Away from your center. What does that mean? Well, it's best to stay centered in most cases. This means in mind, to stay calm, cool, composed, collected. It's kind of like your default mode, right? When you are at peace. So don't sweat the small things. Stay centered. Don't sweat the small things, the petty stuff. You just stay grounded. So what does this look like? Well, it could be at home. You're not going to just blow a fuse, right, over your kids making a mistake. Or you're kind of going to be that thermostat in your home, ideally, if you're a family man, and you're gonna be the thermostat to set the temperature in your home. So you come home from work, and your wife is just stressed to the max, and the kids are crying, or depending on their age, arguing, right? They're frustrated with their homework, or they're not getting their way for some reason. You get there and you set the temperature. You bring it down. You take that dial. You bring it down. You say, "Hey, let's think this through. Hey, babe, it's good to see you. I'm here now. I'm going to try to reduce your stress. I'm here now. I'm going to start taking control over this situation, over this chaos that I may see. I'm going to try to bring order. I'm going to try to bring down the frustrations and the animosity that may be occurring." So that's what I'm talking about. That's your center, right? You want your home to kind of be at peace, and hopefully that's a result of you being at peace, and that's your center. But we're talking about times where you are required to leave your center and go to your edge. Go to that edge, right? That's what we're talking about. There will be times when this is required. If somebody's disrespecting a family member or a friend, let's say, you're going to need to stray from your center. You can't just take that. At this point, you can't just stay in that mode of, there are no threats, I'm fine. No. There are threats at the boundaries, right? So you can't just stay in that center. You now need to come and protect, right? Protect. So if somebody's disrespecting a family member or a friend, you stray from your center while remaining anchored to it. You want to remain anchored to it. You don't want to just go completely out of character, okay? You want to stay at your center, but you will need to go to the outskirts of your composure, of your center, to the edge. This is a man having an edge. You have to get to the edge. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for your principles. Stand up for the physical or the, let's say, the emotional security of your family, of your friends, maybe of your country. Who knows what that may look like for you. Guard the perimeter, the edge of your territory, your terrain, the edge of your responsibility, of your circle. You're going to the edge of your circle, and you are standing up for that person, protecting that person. Let others know that you're not to be messed with. This is important, guys. Because you've heard, you give an inch and they take a mile, right? If you allow somebody to set the tone for how they treat you or how they treat a loved one, then they will consistently treat them that way. They will think that, hey, I have permission. This person's given me permission. He's not a threat. He's not a protector. He's not someone that is going to bump heads with me. That's going to be abrasive in any way because he's too fearful. He's a coward. So I'm going to do as I please. Right? That's the message you send if you are never willing to go outside of the nice guy persona, of the I'm just going to take it, I'm just going to go with the flow persona. People need to know that you are not to be messed with, that you will go to the edge of your typical temperament, and that there are repercussions for their wrongful actions. Okay? And that you're willing to move to a harsher, more in your face, sword in hand posture if need be. So that's the first example of what it means to have an edge. Again, going from your typical default mood, mode, temperament, composure, disposition, to a more in your face, knock it off edge. Number 2, the sharpened side. So an edge is the sharpened side of a blade. And that could be a cutting implement or weapon. I picture sword when I hear edge. So what does that look like for a man? Well, we all need to have borders, boundaries, limits, or an edge that others can't cross. When others try to cross those boundaries, they need to feel the sharp edge of a blade. So think about this. A sword cuts, it pierces, it defends, because it's sharp and it's painful to anything, especially any person that comes in contact with it. So what's that look like? Let others feel that pain, that edge, when they cross the line with you. I'm not talking about being a little or petty, as I said earlier, and I'm also not talking about physically being violent with someone, although that could end up being necessary. It's certainly a last resort for us, right, as a man. We don't want to. Not everything is something to be slashed at, to be cut, to be to feel. Not everything is just that important, but there are things that are. And so, if somebody, let's say, makes a comment, actually, you know what? Let me go back. So let others know what you're willing to tolerate and what actually bothers you when it bothers you. You have to speak up. You have a voice. You have to make others respect you. Respect the fact that you have limits, and let them feel that edge. When they hit that edge, let it be painful, right? So somebody makes a quip that's insulting to you, right? A comment. It's embarrassing to you, let's say, or rude or inappropriate. They need to feel the sharpness of the edge that they've now run up against. Let them feel it. Because if they don't, they will continue to do those things that cross the line. They'll continue to disrespect you, guys. So let them bump up against the edge of that sword that is your boundary, that is your, hey, this is, now you've come into my territory. You've come too far. You've come too far. You've disrespected me or someone else. And it's time that you know that you know it, right? And so they then will learn where your boundaries are, and that you will enforce those boundaries, and you will be respected, guys. They have to know it, and this will give you self-respect. The more that you're willing to speak up for yourself, for your whatever those limits may be, the more you will respect yourself, and you will say, I am my own man, or I am a good father, I'm a good husband, I'm a good boyfriend, I'm a good son, I'm a good brother, and this is where I'm drawing my line. And you'll notice most men are, once they've tested you and they see like there is pushback, most of them are cowardly and they will go the other way. They will back down. And if they don't back down, then you have to, again, be willing to enforce. It could be physical. It could be sparring with them verbally, right? It could, who knows? I don't know what that looks like, but it may have to be, it may elevate, it may, what's the word? Escalate. May escalate. But sometimes that's what we have to deal with as men. We have to deal with the fact that we're going to have certain things in life that are going to cause, that are going to need our courage, right? We're going to have to be courageous. We're going to have to get over certain fears, and we're going to have to say, hey, this is not all right. So have an edge in that way. People bump up against your boundaries. You've got to have boundaries. You got to know what those are, guys. They need to feel that sharpness, right? That sharpness, like, hey, bud, you're not going to talk to me like that. That's unacceptable. You're not going to talk to my wife like that. You're not going to make those jokes about my mom, right? Like, depending on how old you are, I don't know. But whatever bothers you guys, it's bothering you for a reason. Okay? Don't just suppress that. Don't suppress that and become a nice guy and take anything and tolerate anything. The world has too many passive men. You need to be a man that others can say, you know what? I feel safe around him. He enforces what he believes. He protects those he loves. He's willing to stand up for what is right, for what is true. He doesn't just allow the world to come into his world, into his sphere of influence, of responsibility. Hope that makes sense, guys. All right, last one, the third definition for edge, having an edge as a man. Having an edge as a man. A quality or factor that gives, this is another definition, remember, a quality or factor that gives superiority over close rivals or competitors. A quality or factor that gives superiority over close rivals or competitors. So, what does this mean for being a man, right? means you are prepared. You're prepared. You have thought through these scenarios before. You are strong, not just physically, although that is important. That's important, guys. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. When somebody sees a person who is fit, that means more than just you're physically healthy, you're physically strong, you are formidable. It means also that you are mentally strong. Because when you have the discipline to get up each day, to strengthen your body, to eat healthy, to stay hydrated, right? To get plenty of sleep, you are fit mentally as well as physically, and hopefully spiritually as well. And so people are going to know this person is formidable. This person I can't just dominate. They are someone who is not to be messed with. They are someone who is prepared if I do try to mess with them in any way. Again, this could be something like insulting you, being rude, manipulative, deceptive. I mean, there are lots of circumstances in life where you need to have this edge about you. And so in this case, I'm talking about have the edge over competition. Be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. You got to be stable emotionally, guys. You can't just blow a fuse in anger. You can't wallow in depression. You've got to learn how to take those emotions for what they are. They're indicators that something may be wrong, and you have to figure out how to take the energy of that emotion, and transmute it into action, into an action. And what action does that energy go toward? It goes toward what is causing the emotion to begin with. It goes toward a solution for that. Okay? So that's what it goes toward. So be prepared. Have an edge over anybody that may be trying to challenge you in any facet of your life. Be ready. Train. Okay? And if you are this type of man with this type of edge, I'm telling you guys, you will gain respect from men. And if you are younger men who are still trying to attract a woman, she will find that attractive. She will feel safe. She will feel secure. She will know that you are a man who stands up for what he believes in, who knows who he is. He's not just a go-with-the-flow nice guy. And hey, I'm talking right now having an edge around men, right? But even with women, you've got to have an edge, guys. You've got to, when she crosses that line in a relationship, you've got to tell her, listen, I will not be talked to like that. I will not be talked to like I'm a 2-year-old. I will not be talked to in a disrespectful manner. You will respect me, or unfortunately, depending on the situation, I'm going to have to break up with you. I'm going to find a woman that will respect me, and that will respect my feelings, my beliefs, that will respect my opinions. You know what I mean? So have an edge, boys. Have an edge, and you'll go from boys to men. Okay? Go from boys to men. And again, what is that? That is, be willing to move away from your center. You don't always have to have it together. You want to have it together as much as possible. But sometimes, while still being anchored to who you are, to your character, you have to show people that you can be unpredictable. That you aren't just going to be a go with the flow all the time type of person. That if you are disrespected, they will know it. They will know it. In any way, if your family's disrespected, you know what I mean. They will know it. They will bump up against that edge, right? So you move away from your center. You're going to be sharp when they hit those limits that they now have that you've established. And that could mean a little jab toward them, right? They say something insulting, you say something insulting. Boys, men, that's life right there. That's, hey, you get what you give sometimes, right? That's and now they know that. And the other thing, so have that sharpened side of the blade, that sharp part of you, and then also be prepared. Have an edge over anyone who may come to challenge you. So yeah, hopefully you got something out of that. Develop that edge, man. Develop it. Get used to speaking your mind, getting the weight room, getting the Word of God, and become a bold man of God like the Scriptures talk about many men being. I think of King David. I think of Abraham. He had to war sometimes. He didn't just go with the flow. Moses, even Jesus, I know he's presented in a certain way as being just kind of this passive, meek lamb, but actually he's the Lion of Judah as well. And I mean, you read the Gospels, and he was crafty, and out of his mouth came the word of God like a two-edged sword, and he would offend these Pharisees and Sadducees, and then they would go to stone him, and then that's ultimately what got him crucified. We can't be walking around passive. My whole point. All right, so get out there, train in every way, shape, and form. Get used to speaking your mind. Get used to challenging others. Okay? Get used to challenging others. Don't just bite your tongue all the time. I'm not saying look for a fight, but what I'm saying is when they cross a line, you have to voice the fact that you've been disrespected, that you are your own person, and that there is consequences to that. Have an edge, man. Have an edge. Okay. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, have an edge.